Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about, in business, why your product does not have to be perfect. Now, some may confuse the issue and think, well, I'm saying to release junk, because I'm absolutely not saying that. We don't release buggy, faulty software, products that are defective, or anything like that. But what I'm getting at is too often entrepreneurs use getting their product perfect, quote unquote, as an excuse to procrastinate. Because you can never get your product perfect, especially when you don't exactly know the way the end user is going to use it. So you could release software, and this has happened numerous times where people have released software and realized their customer, the end user, is using it for a different reason than what they originally intended. The problem becomes where if you're trying to perfect, you never release the product in the first place. But if you do, you've wasted a lot of time perfecting something that is not even what your end user is actually wanting. So if you release a good product that's working and stable, and then determine what exactly the end user is using it for, you can add in the features they actually want, not just what you think they're going to want and desire, when your original idea may be different from how they actually use it. And this happens with so many products, so many services, so many pieces of software and apps written. And this is why it's so important just to produce, to get something out there. So in the case of writing a book, write, get the book written. Yes, of course, edit it and do your grammatical checks, do your spelling checks and all that stuff. But don't worry about a typo here and there. And I'm not saying to release garbled mess that nobody can understand. But the point is, too often people are editing and re-editing and going over and over and rewriting this and rewriting, and they never release anything. I've known people that are literally going on decades of writing a book, and they're no more close today than they were decades ago. Because they have stuff written, so in that sense, but the rate they're going, they'll never release it. If they had 100 billion years, they'll never release it. Because it's always, well, I got to tweak this. Well, I'm not ready. I'm not sure about this one chapter. They just never release anything. Now, you can go back and edit. And also, you can determine what your reader is misunderstanding from your writing. Now, obviously, if you're writing a novel, it could be a little different. But if you're writing nonfiction, you'll be very surprised sometimes how a reader interprets your writing. And then you can learn, you can go back and tweak that part, because the areas where you think maybe don't make the most sense, people perfectly understand. And the areas you think make perfect sense, people completely miss the point. So there's that huge variable that you'll never know what is going on until you release a product, and that is the end user. How they're going to read your book, how they're going to listen to your music, how they're going to use that app. You don't know what issues they might have that you would never be able to test for, never be able to even ponder and consider, because you're not them. But you'll never get to that point if you don't release a product. And I got to clarify again, of course, do not release junk. Don't sell something that's not good. Don't release things that are inferior and not going to provide good value for your customer. But they don't have to be perfect. First thing, no customer is expecting perfection. This is plain enough in all the crowdfunding products and services that are released. And it's an interesting way of doing it because these companies explain to the customer where they're at right now in the product development cycle and the features they want to implement as they get more funding and as they get more sales. So the customer's not in the dark. They're not expecting this product to have all these features at release date, but they're expecting a certain amount of stable, consistent features that were promised, and they're willing to wait on the additional time it takes to get the funds and maybe the technology necessary to add those other features in. If you're honest and open with your customers, they're fine with that. If you're trying to do something shady and manipulate people or trick them into buying a product that's not ready to go, that's a complete disaster. Besides it being unethical and ungodly, it just works out terribly for you. You're not going to get ahead. I don't know why people keep doing that. It's all throughout human history there are things like that going on, where people are releasing things that are poorly done, they put no effort into just to make a few dollars. But long term, you never get anywhere in that. So release a good quality product, but do not get tangled up in trying to perfect it. You make it good quality, it's providing the service promised, the value promised to the end user, yes, but you don't have to make it perfect. And if you have all these huge goals and things you want to add to it, but it's going to take you another few years, but you could release what you have right now, then do that and explain to the customer, be honest to them. They'll respect that and they'll like that. And if you can, and you have reasonable expectation of what could happen, give them a roadmap. So next quarter, we're going to have this feature added. And then the quarter after that, this, and you can explain to them what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and how you're going to hold yourself to that standard to get those features added. But you don't have to release everything all at once and it has to be perfect, or you can't release anything because no one's expecting that. That is too often a form of procrastination that entrepreneurs get involved in, where they keep telling themselves, well, I got to tweak this, I got to perfect this, and I got to add this, and this feature's not available yet, and that I can't do that. And they never release anything. And they're just talking. It's just endless talking about doing something, but never actually taking action. There are so many products that would bless the world, so many books that haven't been written that would bless people, works of art, music, whatever it may be, that are not getting produced because people are busy trying to perfect something and it never works out. Or they do finally release it and it's still not the quote-unquote perfect thing they wanted. So they just wasted years trying to make something quote-unquote perfect that they could never get perfect. Because things change, and I must stress, you have to understand the end user. And having a few beta testers for your product or your service or your app or whatever is not enough to understand. Because you'd be amazed sometimes of what people discover and how they use your service or your product that you never would have expected. And your beta testers never would have expected. They didn't come across that idea or using the app this way that caused it to break. You just have to go and release stuff, get stuff out there, and go from there. Release a good quality product, of course, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because that perfection that you're seeking, or at least claiming to seek, is really just a form of procrastination. It's a form of self-sabotage, where you're hindering your efforts. Now, on the other hand, I've seen so many products that are released that are not functioning properly, books that have been written that are every single paragraph has some grammatical or spelling error. So there's no effort put into it, because let's say you're not good and English is not your first language. You could have ran it through the standard spell check of any word processing software and found the majority of those errors. So there's that on the other hand, where people are just releasing garbage just to make a few dollars. You don't want to do that either. Produce, get your work out there, make it good quality, but it doesn't have to be perfect. No customer's expecting perfection from you. They want it to be good quality and they want to provide the value you say. So don't promise things that you can't deliver, but make it good quality, high value, that the end customer will get their tangible benefits from, get their money's worth. And if there's other things you want to do to make it perfect, let your customer know, this is our intention. We want to perfect this. We're releasing this now, but here's our roadmap to making this perfect, or what we feel will be perfect. And what you'll find is you'll never reach that, because there'll always be something else, something new, some new way your customer wants the product to work or the service to work. And that's a good thing. Constant improvement and creativity is one of the blessings of God. There's constant abundance and growth and improvement in this world because God has given us that great creativity, the seed, the divine spark within us to do that. to constantly improve things, not leave things stagnant and staying as they are, but to constantly be moving forward and improving and perfecting things each and every day. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.